Chapter 18. Famous scholars invite Qiang Chao Jin to a poetical meeting. Pan number 3 calls on a friend in a bookshop. When Qiang Chao Jin returned from the feast that evening to his bookshop, he went straight to sleep. The next morning, the manager came upstairs to his room, and when he had sat down, said, "I have a proposal to make." "What is it?" "A friend of mine and I are putting up some capital to publish a selection of Parku essays, and we want to trouble you to edit them for us. We want the job well done and quickly done. There are over 300 essays altogether. How long do you think that would take you? We are pressed for time because we must have the book ready for the merchants to take to Shantung and Honan to sell. If it comes out after they've left, we'll have missed our chance. We shall print your name on the title page, and when the book comes out, you will receive a few dozen copies, as well as several taels of silver. Do you think you can manage this?" "About how long can I take?" "If you could finish it within a fortnight, that would leave us a margin of time, but we allow you 20 days at the most." Calculating that he should be able to do the job in a fortnight, Qiang Chao Jin accepted the offer. The manager immediately carried a pile of examination essays upstairs, and at midday he prepared 4 special dishes for Qiang Chao Jin. "When the proofs are out and when the book is published, I will invite you again," he said. "On ordinary days you will have just simple meals, but on the 2nd and 16th of every month you will have meat with us, and we shall supply you with tea and oil for your lamp." Qiang Chao Jin was quite delighted. That evening, having lit his lamp, he worked away without stopping until he had annotated 50 essays. When the fourth watch sounded for the watchtower on the city wall. "At this rate," he said cheerfully, "I shan't need a fortnight." Then he blew out his lamp and went to sleep. The next morning he got up early to go on with his editing, and by working all day and late into the night, he was able to finish 70 or 80 essays a day. On the 4th day, he was at work in his room when someone called from below. "Is Mr. Qiang in?" "Who is it?" asked Qiang Chao Jin, and hurried downstairs to find Qing Lian Cheng there with a scroll in his hand. Qing bowed to him and said, "I am sorry to have delayed so long before coming." Qiang Chao Jin asked him upstairs, where he unrolled the scroll on the table. "These are the poems we agreed to write with the rhyme Lao at our meeting the other day," said Qing. "We had all finished our poems when Chao Hsian Chai saw them and didn't want to be left out, so he wrote another poem with the same rhyme, and he wanted his poem to come first, so we had to copy ours out again. That's why I have brought this only today for your criticism." Qiang Chao Jin saw that the scroll was headed "Small Gathering in the Tavern in Late Spring," with the rhyme Lao. Chao Hsian Chai, Qing Lan Qiang, Qi Qian Feng, and Pu Mo Qing had written a poem apiece, signing their names underneath, and the dazzling white paper and brilliant red of the seals made such a brave show that Qiang Chao Jin pasted the scroll on his wall before sitting down. "That day I trespassed on your hospitality and had too much to drink," said Qiang Chao Jin. "I came back very late." "You haven't been out recently, have you?" said Qing. "No, the manager here has asked me to select a few essays, and I have to hurry to get them ready for the printers. That's why I haven't been able to call on you. Selecting essays is a good thing, but today I'm going to take you to call on someone." "Who is he?" "Never you mind. Change your gown and let's go. Then you'll find out." Qiang Chao Jin changed his clothes, locked his door, and walked outside with Qing. "Well, where are we going?" he asked when they were in the street. "We are going to see Mr. Hu, the 3rd son of the former minister of the Board of Civil Office. It's his birthday today, and all our friends will be there. And since I have to offer congratulations, I decided to take you along. You can meet a lot of people there, because all those whose names you saw on the scroll will be there." "I have never met Mr. Hu. Shouldn't I take a card?" "Yes, you should." They went into a chandler's to buy a card, and Qiang Chao Jin borrowed a brush at the counter to write his name, then put the card in his sleeve as they walked on. "Mr. Hu is most hospitable," said Qing, "but he's extremely timid. When his father died, he shut himself up and dared not see a soul. So he was always being cheated, but had no one to complain to. The last few years, though, since he made friends with us, we have helped him, and now his family is more respected and nobody dares to cheat him anymore. If he's a minister's son, how dare people cheat him? A minister? That's past and done with. Right now he has no one at court and is only an ordinary scholar. A dead prefect is not as good as a live rat. Who's afraid of Mr. Hugh? Men nowadays fawn upon the rich and powerful. But our friend Dr. Chow is such a famous poet that all the high officials will call on him. And when people see a seat and chair with yellow umbrellas at his gate one day and 7 or 8 runners in red and black caps, they can't help standing in awe of him. And when they see Dr. Chow's chair going every other day to Mr. Hugh's house, as it has been recently, they suspect that Mr. Hugh must be quite powerful too. His nearby tenants pay their rent much more readily now, and Mr. Hugh is grateful to us. As Ching was speaking, they met 2 other men in loose gowns and square caps whom he accosted. "Aren't you going to congratulate Mr. Hugh on his birthday?" he asked. "Who else are you going to fetch that you're coming this way?" "We were coming to fetch you, but since we have met, let's go together. Who is this gentleman?" Ching introduced them to Kuang Chao Jen, saying, "This is Mr. Chi Chung Ye, and this is Mr. Yin Chi Chung." Then, pointing at Kuang Chao Jen, he told the others, "This is Mr. Kuang Chao Jen." They bowed to each other and walked to the huge gate of the former minister's house. There they gave their cards to the gatekeeper and invited them into the hall. And when Kuang Chao Jen looked around, he saw hanging in the middle of the hall a tablet bearing the words, "A Pillar of the Empire," in the emperor's calligraphy. On both sides of the hall were Namu wood chairs on which the 4 men sat. Presently Mr. Hugh appeared wearing a square cap, a dark purple silk gown, and black shoes with white soles. He had a small beard and was about 40 years old. He bowed modestly to them all and politely disclaimed their compliments, thanking them once more as he asked them to be seated. Chi Tung Ye took the seat of honor, when Yin Chi Chung in the second place and Kuang Chao Jin in the third sat with Mr. Hugh at the bottom of the table. When Chin Tung Ye had thanked their host for his hospitality a few days previously, Mr. Hugh asked Yin Chi Chung, "When did you arrive here from the capital?" "Only the other day," said Yin. "Since I stayed in the capital with Vice Director Chow, who was a relative of mine, I saw a great deal of Commissioner Fan. And when Commissioner Fan asked for leave to repair his ancestral tombs and invited me to accompany him, I saw this opportunity to visit my family." "Where is Commissioner Fan staying?" "He is on the boat and will not be coming into the city, since he is leaving in a few days. It was because I met Dr. Chow Hee-Seun Chai the other day, and he mentioned that today was your birthday that I came to offer my congratulations and talk with you about old times." "When did you come here, Mr. Kuan?" asked Mr. Hugh. "What is your honorable native place, and where are you staying?" "He is from Yue Ching County," answered Ching, and he hasn't been here long. He came on the same boat with me and is now staying in Literary Expanse bookshop selecting essays." Yes, said Mr. Hugh. "I have long heard of your fame." As they were speaking, servants brought in tea, and after tea Mr. Hugh stood up and invited them into the library. There they found 2 white-bearded old men in square caps, who were standing very much on their own dignity. When the newcomers entered, these 2 rose slowly to their feet, and Senior Licentiate Yin, who knew them, stepped forward. "So Mr. Wei and Mr. Su are here. Let us pay our respects," he said. Then they bowed to each other and sat down. Mr. Wei and Mr. Su showed no false modesty, but went on sitting in the seats of honor. Presently a servant came to announce that other guests had arrived, and Mr. Hugh went out. Ching Lan Chiang asked what part of the country the 2 old men came from. "This is Mr. Wei Ti Shan, a great scholar of Chien Tai County," said Senior Licentiate Yin. "And this is Mr. Su Chin Nan, of Shimin County, a senior licentiate. These 2 gentlemen have been editing essays in Cheking for 20 years, and the selections are read all over the empire." Ching Lan Chiang bowed deeply to express his admiration, but the 2 old men did not trouble to ask their names. Su Chin An, however, had met Chin Tang Ye in the college at the capital. "Since we left Peking, many years have passed," he said. "What brings you here now? I suppose you have completed your work and are waiting for promotion?" "No," said Chin Tang Ye. "Recently all kinds of men have come for posts, but after Wang Yue, who was sent out as an official, surrendered to Prince Ning, and the court arrested the eunuch Liu Qing and kept investigating the records in our department, I was afraid that if I stayed too long, I might be involved in trouble. So I asked for leave and came away. As they were speaking, noodles were served, and when they had eaten, Mr. Wei and Mr. Stew began to speak of the Parku essays. Editing nowadays is going to the dogs, declared Mr. Wei. Very true, agreed Mr. Stew. We ought to have edited a few essays from the last examination as models of criticism. Mr. Wei cast a searching glance around. There were no essays in the last examination, he stated. Excuse me, sir, Qiang Chaojin could not help saying. There are printed selections of the essays of the last examination everywhere. Why do you say there are no essays? May I ask this gentleman's name? Said Mr. Wei. This is Mr. Qiang of Yueqing County, Ching told him. When I say that there were no essays, announced Mr. Wei, I mean that none of them came up to standard. Surely, demurred Qiang Chaojin, if the candidates passed, their essays must have been up to standard. What other criterion is there? My friend, said Mr. Wei, you obviously do not understand. Essays express the teachings of the sages, and they must be written according to definite rules, unlike other frivolous forms of literature which you may write as you please. Thus, from an essay, you should be able to see not only the writer's rank and fortune, but also whether the empire is passing through a period of prosperity or decline. The Hung Wu and Young Lo periods had one set of rules, the Qing Hue and Hung Qi periods had another. Each reign has its particular rules, which have been handed down from one group of scholars to another, forming an orthodox tradition. Now some of the candidates who passed the examinations may have written according to the rules, while others may pass thanks to luck, but only those essays selected and annotated by us are assured of immortality. If we find no essays worth selecting from a certain examination, we say that there were no essays. We are not afraid of not passing the examinations, friend, put in Mr. Hsu. Our one fear is lest our 3 essays should not stand up to criticism after we have passed, for that would prove that we merely passed by chance. That would be something to be ashamed of all our lives. He turned to Mr. Wei. Have you seen the selection of essays made recently by that fellow Ma Chun-shang? Precisely. That kind of man is ruining the editing business. He has been staying in Prefect Chu's home at Chiesing, where they talk of nothing but heterodox studies. And although I understand he has a flair for frivolous writing, he has not the faintest conception of the rules of essays. The result is that he creates extraordinary confusion, and even good essays are spoiled by his abominable commentaries. Whenever I see students reading his selections, I tell them to delete his notes. As they were speaking, Mr. Hugh came back with Qi Qianfeng and Pu Mo Ching, and the table was laid for a meal. They had to wait till the evening, however, until Dr. Chow arrived before they could start. At last, at about 8 o'clock, his seat and chair turned up, with 2 men running before and behind it, carrying 2 torches each. Alighting from the chair, Dr. Chow bowed to all the guests and apologized for keeping them waiting so long. And since by this time many relatives had arrived, 3 tables were spread instead of 2, and all of them took their seats. After the feast was over, the guests went home. Qiang Chaojin, on his return to his lodgings, annotated some more essays before going to bed. In 6 days he finished editing the 300-odd essays, then wrote a preface in which he elaborated the opinions he had heard in Mr. Hugh's house. He also used some of his spare time to call on the various acquaintances he had made at Mr. Hugh's dinner. When his work was finished, the manager of the bookshop took away the manuscript, coming back to say, "When Mr. Ma stayed in my brother's shop, he spent 2 months over 300 essays, and when we pressed him, he lost his temper. We had no idea that you would do it so quick, and the men I showed it to said you had done a very careful job, in addition to being so fast. This is excellent. If you stay here, sir, you'll be in demand with all the bookshops. You'll have plenty of business." Then he handed Qiang Chaojin a packet containing 2 taels of silver. "When the book is published, sir," he said, "I shall let you have 50 copies." He prepared a feast for Qiang Chaojin upstairs. As they were feasting, a servant came in with a note written on fine Xuanqing paper, folded in the matter of an invitation card. Qiang Chaojin unfolded it and read, "On the 15th of this month we shall meet at the West Lake to write poems. The cost will be 20 cents of silver per head." Below were the names of those invited: Wei Ti Shan, Su Chin An, Chao He Xiu Chai, Yen Chi Chung, Pu Mo Ching, Qi Qianfeng, Kuang Chao Jin, Hu Michi, and Qing Lanqiang, 9 in all. A postscript read, "Your share can be sent to Mr. Hu." When Kuang Chao Jin saw that all the others had accepted, he accepted too, weighed out 20 cents of the silver he had just received, and gave this to the servant to take away with the invitation. That evening he had nothing to do, and he thought, "The day after tomorrow at the West Lake, they'll be writing poems, and if I can't join them, it'll look bad." So he borrowed a book entitled Versification Primer from the bookshop and sat down to study it by his lamp. Since he was a very intelligent young man, after studying for one night he grasped the principles of versification, and the next day, after reading the primer again from dawn till dusk, he took up his brush and wrote a poem which seemed to him actually superior to those pasted on the wall. He then read the book through once more, hoping to improve on his technique. On the morning of the 15th, Kuang Chao Jin had put on his scholar's cap and gown, and was just about to leave the house, when Qing Lanqiang and Qi Qianfeng called for him. The three of them went out through Clear Stream Gate to where the others were waiting for them in a small boat. Once aboard, however, they discovered that neither Dr. Chow nor Senior Licentiate Yin had arrived. "Where is Dr. Yin? Where is Mr. Yin?" asked Mr. Hu. "Commissioner Fan wanted to leave yesterday," replied Mr. Hu. "Mr. Yin just paid his share, then left for Canton." As the boat rowed across the lake, Pu Mo Ching remarked to Mr. Hu, "I heard there was some trouble in Mr. Yin's family about the adoption of an heir, which kept him running all over the place for help. What happened?" "I asked him yesterday," said Mr. Hu. "It's all settled now. His second son has been made heir, and the inheritance has been divided into 2 shares of 3/10 and 7/10, with his brother's concubine taking 3/10. So that's all right." Presently they reached Flower Bay, where they urged Mr. Hu to go ashore to borrow the garden for their feast. When Mr. Hu tried to do so, however, the door was shut in his face, and although he blustered, the caretaker paid no attention. Ching took the man aside and asked him the reason. "Everybody knows what a skinflint Mr. Hu is," said the caretaker. How many feasts does he give here each year, that I should put myself out for him? Last year he borrowed this place for 2 tables of guests, but didn't give a single tip. And when he left, he didn't get anyone to clean the place up. Instead, he insisted that there must be 2 picks of rice left over, and ordered his servants to carry them back. I'm not going to wait upon gentlemen like that. There was nothing for it but to borrow a monk's quarters at Yu Qian Temple, where the monk brewed tea for them. Mr. Hu, who had all their money, asked Qing Lanqiang to go with him to do the shopping, and Kuang Chao Jin volunteered to accompany them. They were first to a shop selling ducks, when Mr. Hu stabbed the duck's breast with his ear pick to see how fat they were. Then asked Mr. Ching to bargain for the plumpest bird. Since theirs was a large party, they also brought several caddies of meat, 2 chickens, a fish, and some vegetables, which they ordered the servant who had come with them to carry back first. Next, they decided to buy some meat dumplings for a snack, and went into a shop where they found 30 dumplings. These dumplings were 3 coppers each, but Mr. Hu refused to give more than 2 coppers and started quarreling with the shop people. Finally, Qing Lanqiang succeeded in making peace, and instead of dumplings they brought noodles, which Qing carried. They went on to purchase dried bamboo shoots, salted eggs, fried chestnuts, melon seeds, and other sundries to go with the wine, and these Kuang Chao Jin helped to carry. When they had taken everything to the temple and given it to the monk to prepare, Qi Qianfeng asked, Why didn't you get the cook to do this, Mr. Hu, instead of going to such trouble yourself?" Mr. Hu looked surprised. "That would have cost more," he said. He then weighed out a piece of silver and ordered his man to buy rice. All this had kept them busy until the afternoon, and now Chow Hsian Chai arrived in his sedan chair, alighted, and told the carrier to bring him his medicine chest, then took from it a packet containing 24 cents of silver, which he gave to Mr. Hu. By this time the feast was ready, and they sat down to eat. After the meal, wine was served, and Dr. Chow proposed, "We have a good gathering today. We must have some poems." They drew lots for the rhymes, and when each man had picked a different rhyme, they drank a few more cups of wine before dispersing. Mr. Hugh ordered his man to pack into his hamper all the sweetmeats and food left over, and sure enough he asked the monk how many picks of rice remained, and had that packed up too. Then, having given the monks 5 cents for incense, he made his servant carry all the leftovers back to the city. Kuang Chao Jin, Chi Chien Fing, Pumo Ching, and Ching Lan Chiang strolled back together, and since they were very merry, they talked and laughed and loitered on the way. By the time they reached the city, dusk had fallen. "It is dark now," said Ching Lan Chiang. "We had better hurry." "What does that matter?" asked Chi, who was roaring drunk. "Everyone knows the famous scholars who write poetry at the West Lake. Didn't Li Pai stroll about at night in his silk palace gown? Besides, it's only just dark. Don't worry. Nobody will dare to challenge us." He was gesticulating merrily when 2 tall lanterns and 2 smaller ones bearing the words, "The Assistant Salt Gabble Comptroller," loomed up in front of them. The comptroller recognized Chi and sent men to fetch him to his chair. "Chi Chien Feng," he said, "how do you, a merchant of our gabble, come to be so drunk and disorderly in the street?" "Too drunk to stand straight up." Chi staggered from side to side. "I am Li Pai," he retorted, "who walks at night in silk palace gown." At this point the comptroller caught sight of his scholar's cap. "There are no scholars among the salt merchant in our yamen," he declared. "How dare you wear such a cap? Take it off. Officers, tie him up." Pumo Ching stepped forward to put in a word for his friend. "If you are a scholar," cried the comptroller angrily, how dare you get so disgustingly drunk at night? Arrest this man and take him to the college." Ching Lan Chiang saw that things looked bad, so he quietly tugged Kuang Chao Jin in the dark and skedaddled with him up a small alley. And once back at his lodgings, Kuang Chao Jin went upstairs to bed. The next morning he went out to see what had happened to Chi Chien Feng and Pu Mo Ching. They were not in serious trouble, he found, but were writing their poems as arranged. Kuang Chao Jin wrote a poem too, and when he saw that the poems by Mr. Wei and Mr. Hsu were full of terms used in the Paku essays and phrases cribbed from old commentaries, he felt that his own effort was in no way inferior to theirs. They copied these poems on 7 or 8 sheets of paper, one of which Kuang Chao Jin pasted on the wall. A fortnight after this, his selection of essays was published, and he was given a feast that evening at which he got very drunk. The next morning he was still in bed when someone downstairs shouted, "Mr. Kuang, someone to see you." If you want to know who Kuang Chao Jin's visitor was, you must read the chapter which follows.